Welcome to your second video today. You can go ahead and skip this warm-up since you've already done a warm-up today. So skipping to that, just make sure that this objective gets in your notes underneath so that you know we're using the distributive property with numerical expressions as well as algebraic expressions. So we'll be using both numbers and letters today. And then this one will strictly just focus on distributive property, which should follow with combining like terms. So I'm not sure why we wanted to do the combining like terms second, but we switched them and we'll see how it goes. So in your notes, make sure that you know that equivalent expressions have the same value. So it doesn't matter which order they go in as long as they end up being the same. And that the distributive property is what gives us those equivalent expressions. So what we're really going to be doing is we're going to be taking that outside number of the quantity and multiplying it by each of the numbers inside. And then we'll be adding at the end or subtracting or whatever it tells us to do. Okay, so looking at these first ones, these just include numbers. So you guys have always been used to PEMDAS, so we're not going to use PEMDAS today. We're going to use the distributive property. So what is going to happen is you take the number on the outside and you're distributing it to each of the numbers on the inside. So you're multiplying it by each of those numbers. So 5 times 12 gives us 60. I keep my addition sign because nothing's going to change. And then 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so what's really going to happen is that I can add those and I can get 80. So most of you are probably saying, well, why can't I just do the thing in the parentheses and then multiply on the outside? That's fine for these ones, but when we get into the algebraic expressions, you're going to have to know the distributive property anyway. So it's easier to practice on numbers before we get to variables. So just make sure that you have a couple of these in your notes to understand. Okay, so again, I'm going to take this outside number and multiply it by everything on the inside. So 8.2 times 20 gives me 164. And then 8.2 times a negative 3 gives me a negative 24.6. So really I'm going to end up subtracting and you would be left with 139.4. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video, try these two, see how you do, and then when you come back, I will give you the answers. Okay, welcome back. For the first one, you should have had 20 plus 32 if you distributed, and that would have given you 52. For the second one, you would have gotten 12 minus 18, and that would have left you with negative 6. Okay, make sure at any time if you have any questions, you're writing down your questions so that way I can clarify on Wednesday. For these ones, I would like you guys to try these two and then we'll go over them. So pause the video, complete these two, and then we'll go over them. Okay, welcome back. For the first one, when you distributed, you should have had 24 plus 12, and that gives you 36. The second one, you could have done it a couple of different ways. I know some of you like decimals, and so if you did a decimal form, you had 6.75 minus 1.5, and that gave you 5.25. If you do not like decimals and you left it in a fraction, you would have had 27 over 4 minus 6 over 4. If you subtracted those, you would have been left with 21 over 4, and you would have been left with 5 1/4. So either way, you got 5 1/4, whether you did it in a decimal or you did it as a fraction. I don't care which way you do it, as long as you're coming out with the right answer and as long as you're okay with it. So now we get to work with those variables that I was telling you about. So this goes back to the combining like terms. So some of these you'll be able to combine, some of these you will not. So you'll just have to keep that in mind. I'm still going to do the same process. So I'm going to take the number outside my parentheses and multiply it by everything inside. So 4 times x will give me 4x. 4 times 5 will give me 20. This is a skill that you must know, especially when we get ready to go into equations, because you will be distributing before you solve equations. So make sure that you're really practicing and understanding this step so it'll make it easier when we get into the equation piece of it. So you should have gotten 4x plus 20 on the first one. I can't combine any of those because I have letters and numbers, so I'm going to move on. So I'm going to take my outside number again, multiply by everything on the inside. So I'm going to be left with 6y plus 60, and that's all I can do with that one as well. Okay, we will be going backwards from this, so we will be giving you the answer and you'll be giving us what you distributed. So it's going to be really nice if you are understanding it now, so it'll make it an easier process for you when we get there. Okay, so these two, I would like you to pause the video, complete these two, and then when you come back, I will give you the answer. So pause the video, complete these two, and then return when you are finished. Okay, welcome back. Looking at these two, the first one you should have gotten 3m minus 12. And the second one you should have gotten a negative 9.5n plus a 66.5. Okay, if you miss this plus sign, don't forget that two negatives are equal to a positive, so that's why that changed to a positive. So that is something that I would assume maybe a couple of you did, but hopefully you're remembering those integer rules. Okay, you need to pick 4 of these and complete them. When you come back, I will give you the answers to all of them. If you want to complete more, that's fine, just for extra practice. So pause the video, complete 4 of them, and then when you get back, I will give you the answers. Okay, welcome back. What you should have gotten 4x minus 8 if you chose A, negative 2n plus 6 if you chose B, 2.4a plus 12 if you chose 3a, 3b plus 18 if you chose 3b, 2/3 d minus 2 if you chose 4a, and then negative 7e plus 28 if you chose 4b. Okay, so if you did all of them, that's extra practice for you, and that's great. This next slide that you are looking at, you're not going to do it with your elbow partner. You are going to complete this on an exit ticket. Choose 2 from up here, and then choose 2 from down here as well, so only 4 problems. As soon as you are finished, you can get your homework, and then you can write down the answers for your homework. Make sure that you're showing your work and make sure that you're getting your homework turned in. Some of you are not, and it's really affecting your grade, especially at this early in the quarter. Okay, so have a great rest of your Monday. I will see you guys on Wednesday, and write down any questions if you have any so I can clarify them on Wednesday. Have a great Monday.